Right. So I think first things first is we're going to be taking a look at Tom Bombadil and the Rings of Power. Now, the Rings of Power, of course, is an absolute big old pile of crap. Like it's not great. It's awful. It's a show which they are trying to make drastic changes on. And this is kind of one of those things that you just go, oh, come on now, behave. Like, what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? So, as you can see, Tom Bombadil is now rumored to make his debut in Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power Season 2. Now, who's familiar with Tom Bombadil as a character?
I vaguely remember him from because I used to listen to the books on tape every few years.
Yeah.
And I kind of vaguely remember that's the thing is I can see why Peter Jackson took him out of the story originally, because I can't even vaguely remember his bits in the book.
I remember him being really fat and jolly and having a really young wife and it being a bit sus.
Well, in the end of the day, like I said, it didn't really add or anything to the story overall, so I can see why Peter cut the character out. But as far as him coming into Rings of Power now, well, this answers some of the questions of what they paid Warner Brothers for.
So what do you know about that then, Tom?
Well, this would be a character that would fall in, because as far as I know, I don't think unless he's mentioned outside of Fellowship of the Ring or the Silmarillion or whatever, I don't think they have access to this character. Yeah, not under the initial plan. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Well, unless he's in the appendices, but I don't think he would have.
That's what I'm curious about. If somebody knows out there if he's mentioned in the appendices, then that's why. But that was the whole thing with I heard a rumor that there was a big check cut to Warner Brothers, and that we'll probably end up seeing some characters that we recognize in the next few seasons here. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Paulie, check it over to you. Tom Bombadil, you familiar with this character?
Yeah. Read it in the books.
Short and sweet.
Many years ago.
The likelihood of that? I mean, look, it's a dumb question, but likelihood of Amazon fucking them up.
Yeah, I mean that's just a given at this point.
It is.
That series was just so insanely bad. The Rings of Power, that I can't imagine unless there's new creative heads, new creative team. But aren't they already going to have all female only directors?
Yes. I'm so glad you mentioned that. So we never covered this because I think this dropped at an awkward time, so it wasn't available on to cover on a stream. But yes, you are right. They literally came out and was super proud of themselves and being like, "We've got of all the things that you could change, right, to make this show better, they've just gone. We didn't have enough pussy directing it. There you go. The female directors, all of them, all of them. It's more fun job in this show. There you go.
Yeah.
That's going to get back on track.
Yeah, exactly. For goodness sake.
Maybe if they said it like that, season 2, we got more.
The ring. Oh, dear. Look, I've got away with words. Okay, I'm a poet. Oh, it's just abysmal. Yeah, you are. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Yeah.
So they probably worked out a deal to even have Bombadil in this, like a new deal.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing, man.
Yeah. So and Nick, I don't think we asked you, do we? What's your familiarity with the?
I know about him a little bit. Remember him vaguely from the books when I was a kid, and then I know him best from the Battle of Middle Earth games on PC that came out in the
I didn't know he was in
early 2000s. He was one of the characters in there, but again, is bringing this. He wasn't like a main character with a big part in the story. So I honestly don't really know what bringing him in is gonna do or change.
Yeah,
there's issues with the show than
Yeah,
you know,
not enough pussy.
him not being in it.
Yeah, not enough pussy directing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the single biggest problem that season 1 had. Don't you know? According to Amazon.
Yeah, I would agree with them.
Yeah. Okay. So all jokes to one side. So just as a quick rundown, this comes to us from the OneRing.net, which this article's like, oh, we're not going to put too much stock in this one yet. I would actually disagree, because the OneRing.net is absolute tongue hole, just tongue right up Amazon's butthole. And I can fully see that they could have been given stuff to tease and sort of try and build some anticipation and hype. I can 100% see that could have been the case, because they are notoriously terrible on Twitter, blocking people, calling everyone toxic, writing blog posts. They even attended the sort of premiere fan screening thing of it all. I can fully see that they're in there and they could have been given stuff. I don't see why not at this stage. But anyway, the new rumor, again, according to the OneRing.net, says, well, as an overview, right? It was Bombadil and his wife Goldberry. So we had that. And I think this even says specifically, so they made their way through the Old Forest in the Fellowship of the Ring. So I think that's the only iteration. I don't remember him being in The Hobbit. I'm pretty certain he's not. Bombadil is incredibly powerful. We don't know exactly who he is, but he's not, doesn't turn invisible or influenced, but with the ring, or influenced by the evil and things like that. But what was revealed by Tolkien was he was claimed to have existed before the Dark Lord came to Arda, leading to speculation that Bombadil may even have been alive before the coming of the Valar. And if the character is set to feature in season 2, then it gives the show quite a bit of creative freedom, but only if they've purchased the character from Warner Brothers to be able to use. And here's the crux of it, right? Because they say fans were disappointed that Bombadil didn't appear in Peter Jackson's trilogy, which they were, because I remember people being annoyed by that, because there's a whole element where Frodo's about to die, and Bombadil saves him. Like, he literally just gets on the road and he's about to die, and Bombadil saves his life from these. I can't remember what they were, but they're sort of mounds. Get sucked into a mound, and there's some like evil sort of wraith-like creature there. And so I understand that people are annoyed, but I think this is what Amazon is latching onto, is that they're going, right, what wasn't in the other stuff that people are annoyed about? What can we lure fans with? Bombadil. There you go. We'll pay for Bombadil. That's what I reckon they've done. Which I think is super, super dumb, because they're just going to make up a whole bunch of nonsense for this character now. A whole bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, because unless there is something in any of the appendices or anything like that about the person, we just know what's in the book, and that's it. So
yeah, well, apparently Bombadil's already been cast and has been name dropped by crew members on set. And so, like I said, because of the OneRing.net being, tongue hole in Amazon, I can believe that they would have some individuals on set telling them this kind of stuff. I've got no reason to doubt it. So if this looks like an absolute desperation play by Amazon, they're just looking at it's clutching at straws. It's like, well, what did people not like about, Peter Jackson's trilogy?
The one big gripe, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is literally the only big gripe, really, isn't it? I can't remember there being anything else.
The one that I thought was bigger than the Tom Bombadil thing was them not including Sharky in the scoring of the Shire.
That's another thing too. That's probably the biggest gripe. You're right, Nick. Yeah. Is that we don't have the scouring of the shower yet? You know what you just said.
Yeah, that was the one that, because I had a lot of close friends that are diehard Lord of the Rings fans that read the books literally like every year, and the Bombadil thing wasn't really that big of a deal to them. It was more the scouring of the Shire and the Sharky and all that that was left out from Return of the King that they wanted to see that they wish was included in the films.
Yeah. I mean, I just think this is super dumb, and I think it's quite transparent as well when you break it down of like what people didn't like versus what they did, what they've now taken. It's not going to make it better. I think it'd be awful. In fairness, I can't see this making it any better in any way, shape, or form. But look, stranger things have happened, so it might be good. It probably won't be, but it might be. But it probably won't be.